So let's start at the very beginning. I don't think a lot of people knew that your dad died when you were a child. How did that experience shape who you are as a person and your music?
Well, it's such a good question. And the truth is, considering it's such like a defining part of my life, of my childhood, and this might sound odd, I've never really thought about it that much. And the reason being is it happened when I was, I think, between 2 and 3 years old. And I don't remember it. And for some reason, which I still don't understand, my mother and I never talked about it.
Wow.
So when I was growing up, like, and I just thought that was normal, like, oh, if I have a dead parent, we will never speak of it. And it was only like in adulthood that I realized how strange it was to never talk about your dead parent. Like, I really didn't know anything about him except for a few old photos. And the one thing I will say that I'm in an odd way grateful for is it's hard to miss something that you never knew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in my case, like I don't have memories of having a father. So I just always sort of self-identified, understandably, empirically, as someone who doesn't have a father. And what I will say is it was one of the many facets of my identity that made me feel separate from the world around me. You know?
Yeah. And then you talk about moving to Darien, Connecticut, and how you felt a sense of isolation there, but you sort of found a calling in music. And you said that it took the confusion and made it beautiful. Talk about what finding music meant to you.
Well, and I sort of addressed this in the documentary that at a very early age, to oversimplify it, I think my brain started assessing things in the world on the criteria of, do they feel safe? And at an early age, I sort of almost compartmentalized and said, okay, music makes me feel safe. Animals make me feel safe. Books, nature, these things make me feel safe. So that's in the safe side. The other side was humans, because humans simply did not make me feel safe. I felt very little comfort in the world of humans. Not surprisingly, I'm currently 55 years old and I live alone and I largely work alone and I spend my time with music, animals, books, and going outside. So like really, in some ways I could say that like, even though I'm old, I haven't really, in my basic orientation to things, changed all that much.
Yeah. You moved into a factory in Connecticut and started to DJ. You say in the documentary that this was one of the happiest periods of your life. Why was that so?
Well, I mean, I was at that point maybe like 21 years old, and on the surface of things, everything was terrible. I was a college dropout. I was really broke. I mean, I was making between $2,000 and $3,000 a year. I was DJing a few nights a week at a dive bar, and I remember it was a big deal. I got a raise from $25 a night to $40 a night. And you know, I was living in an abandoned factory in a crack neighborhood. I had no running water and I had no bathroom. It was, you know, on the surface of things, pretty grim, but I was so happy because I was working in music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, if you were to talk to, I think most, let's call like public figure musicians, writers, actors, whatever, the period that we long to escape in hindsight is usually the period that we're most fond of.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure if you talk to Keith Richards, like the period that he probably loved the most was before the Rolling Stones made their first album.
Yeah.
You know, it's that, but it's also the period that when you're going through it, you're like, oh, I can't wait for this to end. And then a few decades pass and you're like, actually, like I had really good friends. I had this wonderful driving sense of purpose. I didn't care all about my material circumstances. I mean, I was living in an abandoned factory in a crack neighborhood, but there was just a comfort that came with it, because there was that another thing that happens, I think, as we get older, is when you're 20 years old, when you're 21 years old, you and everyone you know are socioeconomically in the exact same place.
Yeah.
Within a little bit of reason, but like everyone's, no one has families yet. No one has either bottomed out or made a ton of money. No one has moved across country yet. Like, you still live in this like tight-knit community. And then when that fractures over time, there's a sort of a loss that you become aware of, that those formative years were actually probably a lot better than you're aware of when you were going through them.